Well, hello everyone. We got an interesting topic here. We're going to call it focusing on what's not done yet. That's what clients tend to do. and my guest today, who's going to help me flesh this out and bring it more of this to your attention, is Ann Ryan. Say hello, Ann, please.
Hi, Gary. Hi, everybody.
Um, so Ann, let's talk for a moment about that. You've been a an EFTer and an optimal EFTer. In fact, you're one of our advanced students and so on for many years.
Hmm.
But when we talk about the idea of what's not done yet, I mean, clients, we will oftentimes get a lot of really good stuff done with them.
Hmm.
But then they say, but my shoulder still hurts.
Hmm.
And all the other stuff we did, the headaches and the anxiety, and you don't get along with Uncle Charlie, and that seems to be a lot of stuff gets done, but it's like that other stuff doesn't count. My
Hmm.
shoulder
Hmm.
hurts. You've had that experience, I think.
I have had that experience, and I think it's part of our human condition that somehow we focus on something, the anxiety, and then that fades away as we do this work, and then we just focus on what's not done rather than it's like it disappears. I mean, I know people sometimes talk about the apex effect where people completely forget that the thing was even there. And I think it's really important for us, as human beings to kind of see what is done and to acknowledge it. And in a way, to have appreciation and gratitude for what is done and to kind of pause with that before we rush on to what still has to be worked on.
Yeah, I think maybe a central message that we can share with others here is we get a lot done, and the power of it is often so subtle that
Mm,
people just dismiss it. It's like
mm,
you said earlier, like it was never there to begin with. It
mm,
was never a problem. We'll mention it and go, "Oh, really? I had that problem."
mm,
In fact, sometimes when we're delivering this for clients, we have to actually be salesmen to remind them of what it was we did. Like if I'm on session 4 with somebody,
mm,
we'll start off, and I'm going to have to say, well, okay, let me look at my list here. When we first started, your headaches were like every day, and they got to be 9 or 10 for several hours. And then after one session, they went down to 1 or 2, and then at the second session, it was 0. I think. How's it now?
mm,
Okay,
mm, mm,
it's still 0. Okay, I haven't had one for 4 weeks or something like that. Okay,
mm,
which is stunning. No
mm,
medicines, no pills, no massage, no hypnosis, no nothing except what we were doing with unseen therapists and so on.
mm.
But otherwise, they will just dismiss it. In
Yeah.
fact, I think you do that sometimes. You will go back to your original questionnaire.
Mm, mm.
It-
Yeah,
I,
I do. And I mean you have always emphasized like the importance of, testing and measuring. And part of it is that in a way, when we're working with other people, we sort of need to be that mirror to kind of show people, well, do you remember this is where things were? So um I had a client who came to me a couple of years ago with a lot of issues with her family siblings and just not getting on with this one and that one, feeling very, I mean, her words were isolated and alone and not included and all of that. And we worked away on that. And when we got to about the third or fourth session, I just had this real nudge from the unseen therapist, like get that out again. You need to go through it. And at the beginning of the session, I said, can I read to you what you wrote on the form? Like, this is what I want to work on. This is my issue. And I read through and it was, it was a reasonable amount of text because, it had all kind of, it was very much it bubbled up at the time. And she sat back in the chair and she said, you can tear that up. She said, that's not me anymore. It was that much change. Now we can, I mean, here's the thing, because sometimes, as you know, Gary, people hear things like that and go, oh my goodness, 3-4 sessions and it's done and dusted, and then have that expectation. I mean, we have continued to work, that same person and I, for, a couple of years after that, on and off, and periods of intense work and in between. So, I mean, our work is more than just one thing, but it was staggering. It was like, you can tear that up. That's not me anymore.
Yeah.
And yet, because each time she would come, she would say, and today I want to work on this, or this is what's come up. Had we not gone back to that, and if someone had asked her, she might have said, well, I don't know if I'm, really getting anywhere with this work. And it was just a contrast between what had been there and what was now there. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And so there's a beauty and a puzzle at the same time. It's like these things happen at such a deep level that it gets done so well. You almost think you'd have to hit somebody with a base. It's like somebody needs to be hit with a baseball bat. Oh, I see now. It's all different, but it happens so subtly, and it's just so gradually, and it's just so integrated within that they don't even realize they had the problem. This has lots of different little features to it. I'm going to give you an example. One fellow I was working with, very severe agoraphobia, very fear anxiety, panic attacks, had to always, take Ativan wherever he went. He couldn't go very far from his home without having all kinds of problems, etc. And this one worked really well and really quickly, much more quickly than many do. Okay. And he recognizes all the changes, and that's great. Along the way, he also had OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. You always had to have things just in the right order, books all lined up just right, had to be all very neat and everything else. That went away, and I didn't even know he had it. Okay.
Brilliant.
And he didn't know it went away until he happened to notice that he's no longer cared about whether the books were all lined up just perfectly. he didn't even notice it until he said, oh yeah. And then he just told me about it.
That's brilliant. Yeah. Beautiful.
But that brings us to another point here. And that is, a lot of people most people will come to us because they have, or they will join our advanced course and this kind of thing, because they have something that bothers them. Yeah. They have a pain someplace, disease symptoms. They have a phobia. They're not getting along with somebody in the workplace or whatever. Something's really bothering them. They have a focus that they want to address.
Yeah.
But that's not really our focus. They may well get what they're coming for, that is relief on that particular item. Yes, many people do, of course. But that's not really where we're coming from, is it?
No, in short. I mean, the aim, as I see it, and I've learned from you, Gary, is personal peace, like peace within our system. And I think if any of us that are here or listening to this, think of a time when we felt just peaceful, at ease, restful, just in flow, whatever the words are for it. If somebody said, would you like that more and more? I mean, who wouldn't go for that? And my sense is the more we aim for that, which, as you have said before, we find the emotional things that prevent us from having personal peace in our system, things that happened in the past, things that are happening at the moment. But really, the more we have that, what I see, in myself and with people I work with, what I see is the more the shoulder pain or the knee pain or whatever it might be, it either fades as a result of more of that peace coming into our being, or it just doesn't feel so important. It's like it's not under the microscope anymore. It's like, oh yeah, my shoulder, yeah, sometimes it's not great in the cold weather, but I just sleep on the other side and actually that's okay now. It's like the magnifying glass comes off it.
Yeah, but the aim, as you're talking about, the aim is not necessarily at that shoulder pain or whatever
No.
the particular focus might be. Remember, clients are focusing on what's not done yet. Okay. But the aim really isn't on that which is not done yet. The aim really is personal peace in the system.
Yeah.
We aim at the specific events that are loaded with, let's say, anger and grief and guilt and fear and resentments and this kind of thing.
Hmm.
And instead of having the system go like that and manifest all kinds of negative chemistry, which shows up in various ailments, we aim for that's the cause of these things. Okay. Get personal peace, get that better and better, and have more peace, less reactions to things, and somehow or other you're getting along with your family better, you're getting along with your spouse better, your brother-in-law, you're getting along with your boss, your co-workers. There's more peace. Things don't really get to you so much anymore. And along the way, by the way, those Parkinson's symptoms are fading. Okay. And along the way, the restless leg syndrome, not so much there. That's because the cause is fading. So we're aiming at personal peace. That's what we're really aiming at. Get me going here for a while.
It's lovely. Well, as I listen to you, what strikes me is how much greater the ripple, if you imagine pebble in a pond, how much greater the ripple from that place of peace, as much of it as we can get. We're human, so we come in and out of it, but the ripple that is from that to every aspect of our life, as opposed to the ripple that just necessarily comes from, I've got to get rid of my shoulder pain.
Yes, yeah, it has far greater effect, but like we've been emphasizing, it is more subtle.
Yeah,
it is more subtle.
Yeah.
Aunt Sally, who you can't stand, shows up at a family gathering sometime, and you don't even notice it, but you're having this great conversation with Aunt Sally you couldn't even imagine before, but it happens so naturally. And maybe when you're in the middle of it or look back at it, you go, how'd that happen?
Yes.
And that's because the stuff that's been, in our own personal volcanoes, if you will, and we all have one, whether we like to think about it that way or not, has become more and more dormant, more peace, less ailments, and so on. Anyway, and anything else you want to add before we sign off here?
No, I think that's lovely.
All right. Well, everybody, I hope you got some good messages out of this. I do want to emphasize that below all of this is a little point where I'm pointing you to the essential links, where we have my free ebook called The Unseen Therapist, free newsletter. We have advanced training and things like that. So, you can go farther there. So until next time.